And today is the final day of the federal court showdown between California Governor Gavin Newsom and the Trump administration over the deployment of the National Guard in L.A. The state is arguing the National Guard should be returned to the governor's control, while the White House says it had the authority to use troops to support ICE agents during massive protests there in Los Angeles. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins us once again for the latest on this trial. Good morning, Katrina. I understand that one of the witnesses who testified on day one has now tried to walk back some statements that were made. Give us an update on that.
Good morning, Errol. So this was Major General Scott Sherman, and there were a couple noticeable shifts in his testimony on Tuesday when he became the only witness for the government in this case. So on Monday, Errol, he had said that he had never heard the term rebellion used in reference to the protests in Los Angeles. And this is, significant. This was in a memo that Trump used to bring in the National Guard. Now, yesterday, he said that, of course, he knew that Trump had said that those protests constituted a rebellion. The other thing was there was this big operation that took place in MacArthur Park where the National Guard was asked to assist with the immigration enforcement there. Sherman said that he had initially objected to that request for assistance. Now, yesterday, he said that because it was high risk, it had to go to a higher authority, for approval, Errol. But what he also then admitted later upon questioning is that initially he wasn't comfortable with the way this operation was supposed to take place, where the troops were supposed to be, the day they wanted to do it on, Errol. It was supposed to happen on Father's Day, so there were going to be so many people in that park. They ended up making some changes to the plan, changing the date, and the operation ultimately, he said he believed, was authorized by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth.
Now, we focus so much on this because there could be wider implications nationally if the president decides to do this again. But the general also mentioned some type of constitutional exception to the justification of how the president used authority to do this. Help us understand that.
Yeah, well, it's a really good question because both the judge and the state of California's attorney had never heard of this constitutional exception. And when the judge pressed Sherman on it, he said, "I'm not a lawyer." But basically what he said he was told is that under certain circumstances, the way that this was called a rebellion triggered the ability for those National Guard troops to perform some functions that would normally violate the Posse Comitatus Act. That is the obscure 19th century law that's at the heart of this trial right now that says the military cannot perform civilian law enforcement functions. But the judge really questioned this. He essentially said, so are you saying just because the president says something that makes it so? Just because the president says that something doesn't violate the Posse Comitatus Act, that it no longer does? So this is a big question here and at the heart of this case.
Wow, really important stuff. Katrina Kaufman, across all of it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.